What happens if you are not able to forgive the person that has hurt you the most? Does that mean that you won't make any progress to achieve the healing and the freedom that you truly desire? Is forgiveness the only path to healing and liberating yourself from a lifetime of pain and trauma? It is important that we understand there is a fine line between acceptance and forgiveness, and let me repeat that, let nobody tell you that you should forgive someone that has wronged you if you are not ready to do so, and why this is so important for you. I would love to discuss that further in this video today. When someone is justifying another's actions on why you should be forgiving and let it go, they are telling you that your feelings don't matter. If you have always felt like, why does it always have to be you? You always have to be the bigger person. You always have to step up. You always have to make the sacrifices. You always have to let things slide. They are telling you that your emotions and feelings don't matter, and that is not the truth. The truth is, each and every one of your experiences, each and every one of your emotions are real, it's valid, and that is your reality, regardless of what anyone says. The root cause of all emotional trauma stems from not being validated, acknowledged, or seen for what they are. Therefore, their emotions were not being honored by the person that is supposed to be their support system. And this becomes the foundation of their trauma. And this also creates a lack of agency for a young child that is heavily dependent on their parents, on their caregivers. And for a young child, they would not know how to discern between good or bad emotions. All they know is that what they are feeling in that moment. And when their emotions are not honored, they are being taught that their feelings and their emotions don't matter. So what does a young child do? They do not have emotional regulation skills. So they would internalize all these emotions and develop a coping mechanism that would allow them to feel safe in their own body. And these coping mechanisms can look different for each individual. This creates a deep abandonment wound, and when this child now becomes an adult, they have grown to rationalize, internalize, and suppress their real emotions, because whenever they had emotions, they were not honored, and therefore they have developed a coping mechanism by always looking for logic. They intellectualize everything that happens to them, to their emotions, and therefore they reach a point of disconnection within their own mind and body. And this is why a lot of adults tend to feel overwhelmed in a situation that seems normal. It looks like it's not a big deal. They have been through certain situations many times, and yet they cannot make sense as to why they are feeling a certain way, as to why they are experiencing emotional overwhelm, and there usually is a much deeper meaning to it. So when you start processing your healing, you are required to feel any emotions that comes to the surface, and these phases can sometimes feel a little destabilizing because you are learning to process your emotions, and probably even for the first time. For many, though, they tend to get caught up in the cycle of trying to intellectualize these emotions instead of feeling it. And when you are intellectualizing, it is an attempt for you to try and solve or fix a problem in the best way you know, because no one taught you how to deal with feelings or emotions. Anger is not as unhealthy as what most people perceive it to be. In fact, anger is a perfectly healthy emotion to be felt as part of our human experience to go through various emotions. But what matters most is how we deal with these emotions. And when a person lacks emotional regulation skills, they go into a spiral because they are dysregulated and they do not know the right way to confront that emotion of anger, which often manifests into violent outbursts, out of character behaviors like rage, and sometimes even causing physical harm to the self and those around them. So, when we look at the emotions of anger, it is not wrong to feel anger, and in fact, it is a necessary part of your healing journey. And once you are allowed to take the time to process your emotions in a healthy way, and the only way to do it is by sitting through the discomfort and feeling your emotions. And as you do so, you will begin to feel the shift in the body because you are now allowing the body to go through a natural process of regulating the nervous system and getting all the stuck emotions out of your system. And this is a gradual process that you can't put a timestamp on. Let no one rush you through this process. And now, if you were to come into contact with anyone that insists you must forgive someone that has wronged you, and if you are not ready to do so, please, by all means, take the necessary measures to distance yourself from this person to allow yourself through your own healing process without any resistance. They are not responsible for the choices that you make. You are, and you are in control of what you would allow. So make sure that decision to choose yourself and not allow outside chatter to derail your healing process. Once you have taken the time to allow this process naturally, your nervous system will begin to heal. And as you heal, you will notice that something that once triggered you will start to feel a lot less intense, and you would also have a sense of having more control over your emotions. However, remember this: coming into contact with someone that has once disrespected, invalidated, or disregarded you will eventually trigger once again. And as much as you heal, your body will get triggered in the presence of someone that may have abused you in some way. And your body is extremely intelligent, and no matter how you try to manipulate it, your body has its natural ability to respond in ways that it won't make sense to you, because your body just knows how to react when it senses danger. And when you are in the presence of someone that has wronged you before, your body remembers that, and your body will always react no matter how much you try. However, don't worry about it though, because coming into contact with people will not derail your healing. On the contrary, that's a sign that you are indeed healing when your body gets uncomfortable in the presence of someone that isn't aligned with you energetically. As you regain control and heal your mind and body, you will naturally gravitate to a point of radical acceptance, knowing this is who they are and it has nothing to do with you personally. And when you heal your awareness, your perspective will shift on how you view those around you, which allows you to see everyone with compassion and understanding, and at the same time acknowledging that you are not responsible for anyone's actions or emotions, and it's never your responsibility. Acceptance is a milestone in your healing journey because this helps you to release resentment towards others, and this is where you begin to feel free and light. And at this stage, if you are not able to forgive, please don't hold it against yourself, because forgiveness takes a very long time. I know there's tons of contents out there that speaks of forgiveness in order to free yourself and to receive what you want in life, but I am here to tell you that it is not autonomically possible for you to forgive someone that has caused so much of damage or harm, especially if that harm was caused by someone that you love and trusted. Yes, it can happen much later, probably years later, but that isn't supposed to be your end goal. If we look at how this impacts your relationship dynamics, take a look at how you show up in your romantic relationships. Are you always trying to justify their bad behaviors or actions that is the opposite of what you're truly feeling? Because what you're actually doing in that moment is replaying a scenario where you have experienced neglect or invalidation when you were younger. You remember being told your emotions are not real, they are not valid. So now your adult response is to use your rational mind to talk yourself into believing that your emotions are not real, they are not valid, because that has been your experience. So instead, you look for ways to justify their actions because you don't want to be wrong about the person you care or love. Now, this is where most people get stuck in this loop of trying to intellectualize their emotions instead of feeling it and accepting it for what they are. So, if your partner has done something that is upsetting or hurtful, and when you bring up the conversation, there is a lack of clarity on what you are feeling because you are more concerned about how they are going to respond to that. And therefore, there is a subconscious fear which often manifests itself as a lack of accountability from the other person, and now you take their response and try to rationalize how you should be feeling instead of actually just feeling those emotions. This is how you end up building resentment. This is how you end up staying in a toxic relationship that is long overdue because you try to make sense of every experience by rationalizing and by intellectualizing. And the danger here is that the intellectual mind has a very narrow perception of what healthy relating looks like. And this is why forgiveness is a long shot. Your primary focus should be to reach a point of acceptance that allows you to see others for what they are and not wanting to change or fix them, because we cannot fix anyone except for ourselves. Now, the reason why acceptance is an integral part of your healing process is because acceptance doesn't require emotional reconciliation or a relationship with a person who caused you harm, while forgiveness often implies an emotional resolution or release that is tied to the person. Now, you can accept a situation without forgiving that person involved if forgiveness feels undeserved or unnecessary. However, forgiveness cannot happen without you first reaching a point of acceptance. And the whole purpose of your healing is to bring the focus back to yourself so that you can finally have that emotional control and emotional awareness, which will be the best gift that you can offer yourself. And reaching a point of acceptance will also bring you the peace and the freedom that you have always wanted. And in fact, that is all we as humans need. We all want peace. We all want to be free.